Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our online PD on sustainable schools, where we will be talking about inspirational ideas and practices. My name is Janice, and I'm one of the facilitators from the Nature Stewardship team here at Green Adelaide. I'm joined by my colleague, Steve Walker, and our coordinator, Alicia Banks. I'm very delighted to welcome our guest speakers from three different schools who've been part of the Sustainable Schools program, who will be sharing their journey with us today. Before we kickstart, I'd like to start with an acknowledgement to country. Nadlu Tampinti, Nadlu Gana, Yatanga Impirinti, which translates to we acknowledge that we are meeting on the Ghana country today, and we pay our respects to the connection that Ghana people hold with their land, waters, and communities through their elders, past, present, and emerging. It is a privilege and honor to be working with Ghana communities across Adelaide. Now I will hand over to Steve, who will speak about Sustainable Schools program.
The Sustainable Schools program is a free initiative that supports your school or preschool to embed sustainability across your site, including your culture, curriculum, and all of your different practices. So we aim to support you to develop the knowledge, skills, and capabilities so that you can take informed action. Also foster lifelong learning with your students and your wider community, and basically enable active citizens. So we do this in a number of different ways. Mainly, we can help you with developing a shared sustainability vision and a management plan, which Alicia is going to talk about in just a little while. We can help you with designing hands-on learning, and some examples that we've used quite a lot with lots of different schools and preschools, building frog ponds, setting up vegetable plots, developing butterfly gardens and other biodiversity areas. We can also help you with investigating wildlife and increasing habitat in your school and beyond your school. And a really important part is linking you with other schools and preschools and other sorts of service providers. You can find out more about the program by visiting our website with the link displayed there just below. Through Sustainable Schools, you can access a broad range of professional development, training and networking events, such as what we have here today. We also produce quite a lot of local resources, including identification charts, fact sheets, and games, covering a broad range of topics, including our native animals and plants, environments, and climate change aspects. We also have a loan library, which includes books, videos, lots of different curriculum resources and equipment, which anybody is able to access, and most of the items you can borrow for a 1-month loan period. And some of the really cool things that we've got include thermal cameras and nest box cameras. So you can actually stick a camera into a nest box way up in a tree and have a look and see what creatures have been using that nest box and also what condition your nest box is in. So it's really useful for looking at whether you need to do any maintenance on that and seeing which creatures have been visiting and using your site. We also have a regular e-newsletter, which typically comes out each fortnight during school term. And in that newsletter, we'll inform you about any new resources that we have, any grant opportunities. We share case studies about some of the other schools and preschools and the great work that they are doing. And we also have a nice little feature, which is called a creature feature, which gives you a bit more information about some of our really cool local native plants and animals. When you sign up to Sustainable Schools, you'll be allocated a facilitator who can personalise support for you, work with you to develop your goals and support you in achieving them. And we also have a number of student leadership programs and events that we will run throughout the year. One of the main examples for us in the Northern and Central region is our Cooler, Greener, Wilder Youth program. So this is a program which is specifically designed for student leaders in years 5 to 8, although sometimes we get older students attending as well. And it's about giving them the opportunity to make a difference and get involved in some immersive hands-on learning experiences. So these are typically run as a full-day excursion led by us with support from local community members, other staff within Green Adelaide who are involved in some of that on-ground action. So through these events, you can learn about the importance of some of Adelaide's local environments and the impacts that humans have on them, and hopefully develop some projects that you can work on to try and make a difference to support these environments. So it's really about planning your involvement and your actions throughout this networking opportunity, sharing some great experiences with other students and other schools. And now Alicia is going to share a little bit more information about the different sorts of support that Green Adelaide can offer and some of the tools that we will use.
Hi everyone, so I'm Alicia. Part of the role of the Nature Stewardship team is we have a broader team which is responsible for facilitating learning and collective action for sustainable landscapes, and that's the role of our wider team. So our team and the three of us that are here tonight specifically kind of focus on that Sustainable Schools program, but we're also working towards connecting schools into the wider community, but we're also I guess we call ourselves the connectors. We are working with businesses, we are working with local government, we're working with community groups, and just trying to make those connections to different sectors of the community where we can, to try and work towards that collective action for sustainable landscapes. So that's a bit more broadly what our group does, our team does, as well as the Sustainable School stuff that Steve just walked us all through. I'm also going to talk through the SEMP, School Environment Management Plans, a really important tool for helping to plan and implement, track what's happening at your site in relation to sustainability, reviewing, but also communicating with your wider school community about what sustainability actions you are taking. Some pretty big benefits that we see is that it keeps all the information in the one place. It enables you to coordinate your approach to sustainability. So working with students, parents and staff, keeping everyone's vision, ideas, actions, activities together in the one place. It keeps all of your action plans. So whatever actions you decide to take that you would like to do across your school, it's in that one place. You can use it to monitor your progress, and it's adaptable over time. It's a really great tracking tool for looking at what have we done and what have we achieved over the years, because let's face it, sustainability is not something that can be done quickly. It's not a ticker box kind of thing. It is this cycle of continuous improvement, and we can always make improvements and get better. And yeah, it's a good way to involve students, staff and families. We like to use the SEMP in a holistic sense, in that it helps to get the sustainability stuff across the whole school. So it's a really great way of getting that whole of school approach happening. And the key components of the SEMP are really drilling down with your staff, your students and your wider community, your parent community, and looking at what is your vision? What would you like to achieve at your site in relation to improving the natural spaces? How would you like to look at sustainability as a whole across your site? These are sort of like some big questions that you can ask yourselves, but it's a good way to set yourself that vision for what's going to happen for the next few years ahead. It's aspirational. So, ideally in a perfect world, what do we want to achieve at this site? And then you can start to do the mapping exercise. How are we already involving sustainability across our curriculum? What kind of infrastructure do we already have in place that can support this? So you can start to map what is already existing before you start to look at how can we make improvements. And some of those improvements will come through your action planning. We are here to support that process of putting one of these school environment management plans together. Some of the most successful sites that I've seen implement sustainability over the years are the ones who have really made it a priority to work towards having a SEMP, because a SEMP, the document, it's living and it sort of outlives, if you will, the staff changeovers, the changes in leadership. And if you've got a strong SEMP in place, it sets that scene and shows new staff, new leadership, anyone coming to the school, new parents, prospective parents, what you do here and the culture that you have created in relation to sustainability. I think that's all I wanted to say from that end. We now have 3 different case studies that we're going to showcase just to show you the way that different sites are approaching sustainability. And then at the end, we have St. Michael's, who are going to talk a little bit more about their SEMP and how they've used it over the years.
Hi guys, welcome to Trinity Gardens School. I'm Brenton Conradi, the school principal. Please enjoy these following clips. It's all about our site sustainability education plan, our student team, and also our grounds committee. Talk to you all soon. Bye.
Hi, my name's Andrew Vanderberg. I'm a parent of the 3 children that have come to Trinity Gardens Primary School, and I've been on the grounds committee for a number of years, and we've been helping to organise working bees to work on the fantastic grounds here at Trinity Gardens. We've had some excellent projects like the secret garden and the labels for the orchard trees and mulching, and it's really great to have everybody from the school come here. It's a fantastic community and for some fantastic grounds. It's been a pleasure to be on the committee.
In our school we have an orchard where we grow apples.
And we have a Stephanie Alexander kitchen garden.
We have 2 lessons of kitchen and 2 lessons of garden per term.
So we can learn about sustainability.
This is our beautiful orchard!
Around the school we have composters and also worm farms. Tirukatira Canal is a perfect place for us to learn in the forest.
This is our fruit pond, constructed for our local wildlife. These are some of our recycled garden beds.
A student designed this recycling container. We have a nursery in our school where we propagate plants and herbs.
We have a roster to keep the yard clean.
And we have buckets and tongs to pick up rubbish.
Guess what? Our school is a nude food school.
What's a nude food school?
A nude food school is where you don't bring plastic wrappers to school.
Wow, incredible.
Hello, my name's Tom Barrow. I'm the head of the grounds committee at Trinity Gardens School. Sustainability is a big focus at Trinity Gardens. We have several beautiful features here. We have the Portrush Forest, which has been the effort of many families over many years, and it's a really celebrated space. It's a place where kids in an urban environment get to come and connect with something that feels significantly more natural, and appreciate the beautiful landscape that we enjoy in Australia. It's place and habitat for native animals, and it allows for interactive play in a more natural and cared environment.
Hi, my name is Oscar.
And I'm Ruben.
We are the EnviroCare leaders at Trinity Gardens School.
We meet each week
to discuss sustainable messages for our school.
Guess what? In our school we have a turtle.
And we have a bottle sculpture.
In these we keep our 10-cent containers.
Guess what? They were made by students in our school.
That's amazing.
Hi, I'm Shelley from Trinity Gardens Children's Centre. I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about some of the things that we do around sustainability and how Green Adelaide have supported us in creating our SEMP. We started working with Green Adelaide a couple of years ago, and they have supported us in putting together our site environment management plan. We've got 2 actions that we've been working on over the last couple of years. One of them is around waste management, the first action. So we've made a few changes around that. One is we've got our bins, which probably some of you might have seen, for the staff and children, with our red bin and our yellow bin. We've also got green bins in the bathroom. We have we work with the North Payment St Peter's Council with the big green and yellow bins that go out for curbside recycling. So we have those out in our yard. So obviously the yellow bin goes out into that. We also got our compost bins that children allowed to put their food scraps in. We have continued with the school. We're part of the whole school, and they have a nude food policy, which we also take part in. That's been happening for a number of years now. So any rubbish that the children bring in their lunch boxes has to actually go back in their lunch boxes and go home. We can't, they don't use that, that doesn't go in the bins. And then with just a rainwater tank, the children have access to that across the day with using the sandpit in the mud kitchen. So that's part of that, child agency. They get to access that if they need to, and obviously once it runs out in the summer, then they are learning about where the water comes from or water conservation. We try and work on that. I think all of our waste management is an ongoing work in progress. Depending on different staff coming in, and each time we get a new cohort of children and families, it's another one looking at educating them and things, and we go through different ebbs and flows of when things are working well. We've just reinstated our worm farm. So we're using some of our children's food scraps also to go in that feed the worms. So our second action in our SEP was around creating a butterfly garden, and so that has happened over the last couple of years. We've worked with the children around their ideas of what plants they might like and what kind of butterflies they want to attract, and we've also worked with Green Adelaide helping us with how that might look. We were fortunate in our parent group. We had a landscape architect who worked with us to create some plans for our butterfly garden, which we were really fortunate, because she was once we got going, she was really passionate about it and drew up some plans, actually looking at our whole community yard around our spaces and what we could, how it could be used. And we've had working bees, a couple of working bees last year, to move some garden beds that we had already, but we wanted to move them to be part of the plan that she was creating. And then we had another working bee at the end of the year, where the parents and children came in on a Saturday, and we planted out the natives that we had picked. So it's all Australian natives that the parent who did the plans with us, she actually had lots of knowledge around that as well. So that was really great, and so that was 5-6 months ago now, and so now things are really starting to take shape. We've lost a couple of plants, but not too bad. The children have been involved in watering them and looking after them and noticing the different things in the garden, and we hope to continue that. So when I met with Wendy this year, she said keep the same goals and just keep working on and embedding some of that practice, around with the plants, whether we collect seeds from them, and then parents actually being part of that. So even with some of the vegetable beds, we've taken things out, and parents have been offered to take, the families taking things home, create space for new things. We've had a family just donate some more soil and things to refill, so this bed's ready to go with some new plantings. We're having another working bee on the weekend for our general yard tidying up, as well as just to see what other planting and things and what tidying up and mulching we'll need to do on our butterfly garden. We're fortunate to be part of the school, the Trinity Garden School, and in the Portrush Forest Nature area, they have got a big pile of mulch that we're gradually working through, and so we'll be getting some more of that to top up the garden beds in here, as we also use that for so it's great to be able to be part of a bigger community for us and being able to access those resources.
So the SEMP working group was established probably about 14 years ago after signing up with Green Adelaide, a sustainable school. We actually had Green Adelaide run a staff PD with us, and from there we put our interest to have our first committee, and their first official job was the writing of the SEMP document, which we did under the guidance of Green Adelaide. The way we got the whole school involved was initially with our first major project, which was the garden. So we started with a buddy system, so every term we had 2 year levels in the garden. So that was our initial project to get the whole school involved. Then from there, with the introduction of every new project, we gave that project to a particular year level. The way we chose the year level, it really came down to the age of the kids, depending on their capabilities in regards to the project, and also curriculum connections, which Mitch will talk about later.
What teachers felt comfortable
What they felt comfortable with.
Well.
Yeah, so an example of that is the chickens. The collection of the eggs is a job, and it used to be the job of the receptions because one of the teachers took that on board. Now it's been moved into a year 4 job because the reception teachers don't like chickens.
It's as simple as that.
It's as simple as that. So that's how it's really evolved with every new project, really putting it out to all the teachers and seeing who's showing the most interest. But with time, we've managed to get every single year level in charge of something, and every year we review that and assess whether things need to change or not. We have our official meetings twice a term, but outside of that, every member of the Earthmates team has been allocated a particular project that they're in charge of. So for example, one of the year 3 teachers in the team is in charge of nude food, but we meet with him on the side. We do have other little side meetings as need be, and the teachers in charge from this committee in charge of each of those projects also look at the action plan with ourselves. It's not something we do during the meetings anymore, but we have these little side meetings with them and focus on their action areas.
Yeah, responsibilities change as well as our school changes, and I'm sure other schools change as well. New needs pop up. So for example, we've just recently expanded and have a whole heap of new plants installed in our upstairs balcony, and so that's a job that we've had to introduce lately, and so we're constantly reviewing and updating responsibilities, what our projects are, and as sort of sometimes needs become obsolete, and so then we can shift our focus onto new challenges and new initiatives that the school are running.
Yeah, and it's really important to note that we also have a team of student leaders. So we have 8 year 5, 6 youth environmental leaders, we call them. So they have a big teaching leadership role within the school, and they're in charge of introducing a new project every year, as well as the ongoing running of events. And
I think that student voice is really important in identifying student relevant initiatives that they want to introduce and work on.
And then other responsibilities are run at recess and lunch, so anyone can join that. So we have like Eco Squad activities, recess and lunch, for anyone to join, and that's a really nice way for them to be introduced into those future leadership roles.
My technical role is Key Teacher in Sustainability, so my job is to oversee the embedding of the cross-curriculum priority of sustainability throughout the school. So I support classroom teachers in making those connections and curriculum opportunities given the resources that we have at school. An example of that, we're sitting currently in the garden, and next to us is the butterfly garden. Year 1s learn about the life cycle of a butterfly, and so we help them observe the life cycle of a butterfly through our garden, where they come and they'll collect the caterpillars and then observe the whole life cycle and eventually release them back into our garden. And so they can make that connection between how important it is to look after our school's resources and also tick the curriculum boxes at the same time.
So the SEMP document has changed quite considerably since we first did it. It was pretty long when we started. It's quite a nice summarised, condensed version now, which we really only review would you say annually, beginning of every year, we look at it with the Earthmates team. So the main focus of our current SEP document is to look at achievements from last year and then to look at our targets for this year. So we set that as a committee, and then everyone really just works on the individual targets, don't they?
It's never a document that will be finished. We look at it as students, and sustainability education isn't just a one and done thing. It's going to be constantly evolving as the needs of both in a community sense and in a greater world sense keep changing. So it's something that we need to be adaptive and reactive to, and be able to keep changing and updating that document to tackle the needs of our learners and our community as well.
And that's why we decided this document needed to look at last year's achievements as well as this year, and it also gave us an opportunity to roll over anything that we didn't have a chance to complete. And that document's on our school website. So we have it up there for everyone to have a look at, don't we?
Yeah, we do. So families can see that at home as well.
That was wonderful to hear about the different sustainable schools that we have in our program and hear their real life stories. And I'm sure listening to these, we would feel inspired. Moving on, we also have some additional support that is available. And Steve has mentioned a little bit about it. So just to touch up on those points again, we have a loan library that is available to all the schools that are part of the Sustainable Schools program. So we have a range of things for all age groups, starting from books to various kits. Like you can see this photograph here of the macro invertebrate monitoring kit that can directly be used with students as they go out in the field. And as Steve mentioned, we have various cameras, nest boxes, thermal cameras, and a lot more that can actually put more value into what they're learning and connecting it to real world issues and challenges that we face. You can find more information about this on our website. So if you would like to request something from the loan library, you will have that information online. Another area that we offer support is when you would like to acquire some grants. So for example, if you're setting up a butterfly garden or frog pond, and you wish to apply for grants so that you can buy plants and things to support it, we can guide and support you with that. To mention, once a year, Green Adelaide also offers the grassroots grants that some of the schools that were here today as case studies, they have received them in the past. Unfortunately, this year we've just completed the round of the grants, but we would be very happy to support you for the next. We can also advise or support you in any other grant applications, whether it's from councils or any other community grants that you might be eligible to apply for. And another thing would be we do work closely with other community groups. So there is an opportunity to connect you with them. And again, the students get to experience the other projects happening in the wider community outside the school too. I will now pass this on to Alicia to take you through the next steps.
Yeah, so next steps, or where you want to go from here. We basically just suggest start where you are. And I guess for me, if you haven't, if you're not a registered site, I would strongly encourage you to register with the Sustainable Schools program, and we can assign you one of our amazing facilitators that can help support you. I guess when you are assigned a facilitator, and even here speaking to you now, I would say no one journey is the same. And so it's really about working out where you currently are, or what would you like to prioritise. And sometimes the priority is the thing that's the most obvious and in your face. Quite often we get a lot of schools that go, we want to start with litter because it's super visible. And then other sites might want to start with, we really want to improve our student voice and the leadership that students have, and the advocacy and the agency that they have within our site. So I would say start where you are, or start where you feel is the right spot, because there is no right answer. I would also suggest the best thing to do as well in this initial phase or early stages of getting started is find your allies or other interested people within a school who wants to support this stuff. Make sure that leadership is supportive and is on board, because without leadership being on board, nothing is going to happen quickly, if at all. But you can gather support with other teachers. You can see who else, or other staff, other parents even. Quite often there are a lot of parents within the community who are keen to see improvements made at the site that their children go to. So you can sort of ask around, see who's curious, who's interested. If you don't know who that is yet, then speak with us and we can help you find who those people within your immediate community might be that might be interested. Even starting with the students, what are the students suggesting? What do they say? What do they think is helpful for you to start with in relation to sustainability? You could come at it from a curriculum perspective or from another cross-curriculum priority perspective and look at First Nations and Aboriginal culture. You could start looking at sustainability from the perspective of your site. You want to improve sustainability or biodiversity at your site. Have a look at what exists in terms of biodiversity on our site. And we have a whole range of different resources that can support you to do audits, to have a look at what exists on our site already in relation to native gardens or native plants, the fauna as well that might be visiting your space. We've got those kinds of resources that can help you investigate that. And that's a really great starting point with students as well, because it gets them to really tune in and have a look at what already exists on site. You could look at developing a shared vision. Now, that's sort of something that you try and involve the students, the staff, the parent community in that process. And in the chat rooms we had just before, one of the members I was chatting to was having a bit of problem with getting some of the rest of the community on board. So having one of our facilitators come and support that process can really help. We've got tools like surveys, and they had mentioned that they'd sent these surveys out, but another way is to, people are time poor. If you want people to connect with what you're doing, have a sticky note up on the wall or a poster and with one or two simple questions that tries to involve the parent community, and just get them to stick a sticky dot with, wherever something, sort of seems to resonate with them. You don't need to put out extensive, really time-consuming surveys, but start with a question and see what kind of response you get. What else can you do? You can look at your policies and procedures. That usually comes a bit further down the line, but some people get really excited about looking at things from a policy perspective. You can look at how, tackling it from a perspective of, we want to become more climate resilient. We're really super conscious of how hot our site might be, or we've got a lot of amazing trees around our area. How can we improve that? So it's that looking at that constant way to improve what's happening already at your site. And as I mentioned before, you could also look at it from starting with the students, trying to foster that citizenship perspective. I know that this is more relevant for primary and secondary schools, but they're really focusing in on active citizenship at the moment and democracy. So, tackling the curriculum and looking at how students can get involved and how their involvement in the sustainability process can improve your site. You could become a hub for sustainability. I know St Michael's had developed a bit of a recycling station for all those strange, weird things that they just didn't know what to do with in terms of recycling. And so they thought if they created a bit of a hub for their school, I know Blair Athol North does the same thing, just having a little drop off for people to drop in batteries or, used cosmetic containers or the foil blister packs. And then, the coordinator at the school was able to then take some of those things. And so that was a way of trying to ensure and encourage that recycling and that connection into the home, as well as looking at those things on site at school as well. And the other thing is obviously is really to celebrate your successes, no matter how big or small. Celebrate those wins, because sustainability is a long journey. And so if we can celebrate those smaller milestones along the way, it makes it so much more enjoyable. And also it helps you to really see the changes that you are actually making at your site and within your community. We also have what we call our core indicators tool. Your facilitator can walk you through this process if you're curious about exploring things from a bit of a rubric perspective. And we've got these rubrics that look at how you can approach sustainability from and how you can move through that journey. And there's a starting phase, and we have culture, understanding, learning, community, and managing rubrics. And so there's 3 or 4 questions for each one where you can really start to explore what sustainability means to your site in relation to improving culture, or what it might look like within the curriculum and the learning and the understanding. From a management perspective, what might this look like? And we've stepped it out in a set of indicators that can help you track through that and move through that process. So that's another way that sites have started their journey or improved things along the way, or used it even as a tool to take stock and look at where are we now and how do we move to the next chapter, which might be starting to commit, really challenge ourselves, and then really that final section, which is transforming. So the transforming space is, where you are really looking at sustainability and involving your whole school community, and you are influencing the people around you, and you're starting to influence the wider community around the site as well. And you've got lots of cross-pollination into and outside of your space. You might have local government and other organisations coming in and coming out and learning from each other. So yeah, and it's an exciting space to be in. I think Steve is going to do a wrap up for us.
Yes, that's absolutely correct. I'm not sure if this meeting is just going to cut us off when we reach the end, or whether it will keep on going or not. So I'll power on through. Once again, there's the link to our website if you want to get in touch with us. There's a link on the website where you can sign up to our fortnightly e-news, and there's access to all of our contact details there. In some of the upcoming events that we have got, we've got our next lot of early years network sessions coming up. So we run these in the northern and the central region. You're welcome to attend any of those. There's also some down in the south. There's contact details there for the early years network. We're also able to run professional development sessions for the primary and senior schools as well. So we can link you up with some of those different events. And we have got the Cooler, Greener, Wilder Youth events coming up next term. We'll be running the Biodiversity Bonanza in the central region and the coast and marine environments in the northern region. But if you want to get involved in the future, get on the website, make contact with us. We're here to support you in any way we can. We are fully funded through the environment levy, so we don't charge for our service. So it's in your best interest to make use of us, and we will help you wherever we can, offer you whatever support you need. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of information about the Sustainable Schools program, what we're all about, and how you can get involved.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks everyone for joining along, and we will share the link, and feel free if you want to share it with your colleagues or anyone else at work to get them on board with these projects. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. Bye.